Hi guys, it's Marish. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about something very exciting and something that I think is very important, especially for architecture students and if you become an architecture professional, and that is the architecture portfolio. So this is my portfolio that includes selected works from the past 4 years that I feel showcase some of my best skills. And one important thing I'm going to mention is that if you are a student or you're going into architecture, this document is always going to be changing. I change mine about every semester, and I just did this one, but I already want to change like the whole thing because I don't like how I laid it out. But I'm going to go over that in the video. Even if you're not in architecture, this can be something really cool for you to just see what kind of work I do and give you a little glimpse into my style as a designer and who I am. So this video is going to be primarily the do's and don'ts I've come up with for your architecture portfolio, and a little bit of like what I've learned and how I've found easy ways to make it clean, readable, and effective for getting a job. So I hope this helps you, and I hope you enjoy looking at my architecture portfolio. Okay, so first, hopefully right here on the screen, you will see images of my portfolio, and I'm going to be looking at it down here and also referencing my notes I have. So if I look down a lot, that's why. So I'm going to start out first with the cover page. And as you can see, I kept it pretty simple. I have a block of tan on the side and a little architecture portfolio title with my name under it. I've seen a lot of people put like a graphic they've done or like a diagram on the front, which is completely fine. I wish I had something like good enough to put on the cover, but I just really wanted to keep it minimal for just my personal style and, you know, just so it wouldn't look funky or anything. So then I open it up, and as you can see on the left, I have my resume and my table of contents on the right. Now, a lot of people choose not to put their resume in their portfolio, but I find it quite helpful actually, because if I bring my portfolio to a career fair or an interview, everything is like in one place. And also I don't have to keep track of like so many resumes if they're just thrown away. I feel like it's just, this is me, this is who I am, like it's all here. So I find that very helpful. As you can see, I follow the same formatting for that as well. And then on the right, I have my table of contents for my projects. And instead of just doing the name and the number, I have little rendering vignettes that give like a little sneak peek into what the project is, sort of to get people interested in wanting to flip to that page. And it includes the date of also when I did the project. So if you flip to the next page, it starts the project sequence. So again, I have that consistent tan bar along the right side. The number of the project in relation to the table of contents, the name of the project, the type of project, the location, the programs I used to complete the project, and the semester it was completed. And then also on the right side, I have the rendering that I use in the table of contents to keep it consistent, and I have a design brief of, I guess it's sort of the project description that the professor gave us, and then my own proposal for the project to the right of that. So I find like this gives just the perfect amount of text for whoever's looking at it to get a background into what the project's actually about, because for the most part, they're not going to know what the project is. So I feel like that's a really good like intro page, and I like adding an intro page to a project because it sort of acts as a buffer between like that awkward transition between projects. Like I feel like it's an introduction for something new that you're about to look at. So this starts the part that I'm going to change because I obviously included a lot of information on this project. This was my biggest project I've done so far, so I was like, I have to include everything I did. That's not the case that you should do. I have a lot of good stuff in here, but a lot of it doesn't need to be included. This project was for a competition, so there was like certain criteria we had to meet, and I've included it on my boards, and I basically took this project or my boards from this project and put them on my portfolio, which was not a good idea, so I'm gonna fix it. But I have like my money shot and sort of some site context on that, some diagrams, floor plans. As you can see, my color palette is consistent with my overall color palette. I wanted to keep it consistent. That's another thing you should do is once you find your style in your architectural work, try and be consistent across all projects. I only use the font Century Gothic because I find it easiest when you're going from project to portfolio to keep the same font, or else you'll have to go back into your project and like change all the fonts, and it's really bad. Trust me, I've learned from experience. And just keeping the same color palette, I mean, it just saves you time in the end. And it looks really nice too, and it looks all very cohesive. So then you flip to the next page. Again, there's a lot of information here. I'd probably make this diagram on the left bigger and make my other little environmental diagrams bigger because they're pretty nice. And then the renderings I have on the right side I would make a lot bigger too, because those are also something I'm really proud of and showcase that I can render pretty well. So then next, the next project also follows the same formatting. This one doesn't have as many pages as the last one, but I feel like it gives a really great look into what the project is about as a whole in only 2 pages. I think it is a really good overview. I really like the layout of this page, or these 2 pages, so I don't think I'm going to change anything on these. And going into the next project is the same thing. This was an earlier project from my 3rd year, so it's not as like advanced, but we have some really nice renderings and some really nice sections and plans. So this only needs really 2 pages as well. And then the last project was a material study I did my 1st year, and it's different because, and it's not a building, but it shows a really great process that I followed during this project. Again, I gave the same like design brief and little description on the project itself. On this project I made paper, so I laid out the next page sort of going through the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd steps of the process. I actually took newspaper, blended it up in a blender with water, poured it on top of this mold, let it dry, and then cut it into strips. And I made a plaster wire like organic shape that you can see in the 3rd step, and I laid the strips across it and folded them under to create this really cool organic paper thing. And I used a similar technique in the next project, except I used clay as a medium instead of paper. So I had a dowel, and I literally like used a Dremel and carved wood grain into it, rolled it on the clay, and then I made this apparatus for with these dowels at all different heights to sort of make the clay undulate when I laid it on top of it. And then it made this really cool clay looking thing that you can see at the very end there, which is one of my favorite pieces I've done, and I use it as a little artwork piece. So that was my portfolio. It is 23 pages long, and that's actually not too bad, but if you wanted to, like for an interview, you could only bring in like a 5 or 10 page of maybe just one project that you really like. I wouldn't suggest going more than like 30 pages, that's kind of a lot. Each year you can take out a project and add a new one as you get better. So I have a few more tips on what I've learned from the portfolio. One thing would be to talking about binding and everything, because you need to document your portfolio very nicely. So I suggest using like a nicer paper than just a regular printer paper. This one, I don't remember what kind it is, but it's got kind of like a silky like texture to it. It's a little thicker than regular paper too. It's pretty nice, and it's not as expensive as like a cardstock. Plus, in this type of folder I have, cardstock wouldn't work, or it wouldn't turn very well. This first portfolio I have, this is from my 2nd year going into 3rd year, and if you're not familiar with my program, basically 1st and 2nd year are sort of like the preliminary years, and 3rd, 4th, and 5th are the professional program, and you have to get accepted into the professional program by submitting a portfolio. So this one is like terrible, like the layout, the formatting is just like, where am I going? I like included like 1 line of text, and it's just really bad, but yeah, we had to bind this just for, documenting purposes, and this was 50 pages, so it probably costed me like $40, but usually like a 20 pager would maybe cost you like, I'm gonna say on average like 15 to 20. But what I've learned since I create a new portfolio like every semester is to just buy these clear little covers. You can get it from Walgreens. I got like a pack of 3 for probably like $5, and you just slide on this bind on the side, and then you just slide your pages in, and it's just a lot more economical, especially if you're changing the pages I would suggest printing, you know, at a nice place to get the paper, or if you have a really nice printer, I don't, you can just print at home, but that's a great way to save money. Another thing is to publish your portfolio online. I found this really helpful. It got me a few jobs actually. I use issue.com, and basically it uploads your PDF into a book format so an employer or a job recruiter can click through your portfolio like a book. It's really fast, super easy. It uploads high quality PDFs, and you can attach it obviously to like your LinkedIn or any other social medias you desire. So I find it very effective. Issues also help me with ideas for my portfolio as far as layouts and themes to follow. So if you're a little confused on like what your style is or where to get started, I would definitely suggest using Issue. The last thing I want to talk about is that your portfolio doesn't have to be perfect. Of course, it's going to change just about every semester, every few months, like mine does. Every time I complete a new project in school, I have to add it to the portfolio. I still need to add this past semester's, so it's not a stagnant document at all. So don't be afraid of it. Don't put all this pressure on yourself to make it perfect, because it's never going to be perfect. Just like any project, it's never completed and it's never done. So just keep going at it, keep experimenting with different styles. I'll probably change up my theme a little bit because I feel like it's getting a little too plain for where I should be at. Maybe I should do something a little more interesting there. Your portfolio is something that it's gonna take you a while to figure out. I found it very helpful to talk to other people, attend workshops that your school might have, talk to professionals. They gave me a lot of good ideas, or even sometimes they boosted me up for saying like, this is a really good portfolio, when I felt like I just wasn't doing anything right at all. So I would definitely reach out to those kinds of people, because it will make you feel a lot better and you'll feel way more confident when you have to go in for a job, or if you're submitting it to get into your third year. So with that, I hope you enjoyed. Viewing my portfolio, and I hope you learned a little bit, and hopefully it can help you wherever you are, whatever stage in your career you're in. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, or whatever time it is, and I hope to see you back in my next video. Bye!